The road to Europe. Genghis Khan's next conquest. What happens when the world's most feared conqueror finishes one campaign with fire and blood, and then looks west? After annihilating Khwarazm, Genghis Khan wasn't satisfied. Cities were burned, populations decimated, and resistance crushed with terrifying efficiency. But for Genghis Khan, this wasn't just revenge, it was a message. The Silk Road now belonged to the Mongols, and any who dared to challenge them would suffer the same fate as Khwarazm. Their goal wasn't full conquest, yet they were to scout, raid, intimidate and, above all, send back intelligence on the lands beyond the mountains. His eyes now turned toward the unknown lands filled with mysterious warriors, powerful empires, and a new world to bring under the Mongol banner. But first, he had to secure the region. He split his forces into specialized units. Straight into a trap. Subutai and Jebe turned and obliterated the coalition in a carefully orchestrated ambush. The defeat was catastrophic. The Mongols not only slaughtered the Rus soldiers, they publicly executed their leaders, reportedly suffocating them under wooden boards as a display of domination. Some generals stayed behind to pacify rebellious cities and protect the trade routes, while others began scouting the unknown territories beyond the Caspian Sea. This is the untold story of Genghis Khan's march toward Europe and the terrifying wave that followed. A massive force, assembled perhaps 80,000 strong, led by the Prince of Kiev, the Prince of Gallic, and other Slavic warlords. He established the YAM system, a sophisticated communication network of mounted messengers and way stations that could relay orders across continents in days. They left behind a terrified world, shaken by a mysterious enemy that struck like lightning and left only smoke and bones in its wake. He summoned his sons and began dividing the empire, establishing a succession plan that would allow the Mongol machine to continue even after his death. Each son would receive a khanate, a territory to rule, but all would answer to the Great Khan. Injured, possibly ill, and far from the front lines of Europe, he died before he could return to the West, and in the next generation, Europe would feel the full fury of the Mongol horde. Genghis wasn't just a warrior, he was a chess master, and the next moves would be devastating. And what came next would be unlike anything Europe had ever seen. Armies that moved faster than wind. Cities turned to ash, and legends born in fire and fear. They were confident. The Mongols were far from home, deep in unknown lands. He saw an opportunity, not just to raid but to conquer. But before he could launch the next phase, something unexpected happened. What could a few nomads do against the might of united Rus? The fall of the Khwarazmian Empire had left Central Asia in ruins. They cut through the Caucasus, smashing through the Alans, then striking down the Kipchaks, nomadic steppe warriors who had once allied with The Mongols were unstoppable, fast, fluid, and brutal. They crushed every army that dared to stand in their path. The victory opened a path west, and Genghis was eager to explore it. In 1221, Genghis sent one of his most trusted commanders, Subutai, the valiant, alongside Jebe the Arrow, into a daring expedition westward. This small force, just a few tens of thousands strong, would become the Mongols' spearhead into Europe. Then came the real test. The Rus princes of Kievan Rus and the remnants of the Kipchak horde formed a grand coalition. At the Kalka River in 1223, the coalition learned the hard way. The Mongols faked a retreat, one of their favorite tactics. The overconfident Rus pursued them for days. Then, just as quickly as they'd appeared, they vanished. The Mongol force withdrew east. Mission complete. Why didn't they conquer Europe right then and there? Simple. They weren't ordered to. This was a recon mission, and now they had what they needed: maps, intelligence, enemy strengths, and a psychological advantage, Subutai returned to Genghis with one of the most detailed military assessments in history. It was all part of a bigger plan. After these campaigns, Genghis Khan began consolidating his empire, which now stretched from China to the Caspian Sea. But more importantly, he began thinking about the future. He also began preparations for a massive future campaign, one that would take the Mongols back to Persia, deeper into the Islamic world, and eventually into Europe itself. With the intelligence gathered by Subutai and Jebe, Genghis now knew the geography, politics, and weaknesses of the Western world. In 1227, while campaigning against the Western Xia dynasty in China, Genghis Khan fell from his horse. But the gears were already in motion. What Genghis had started, his sons and grandsons would finish. Genghis Khan never set foot in Europe himself, but he lit the fuse. In Part 8, the invasion of Europe begins. The Mongol storm is coming.